Welcome back. Thanks for staying with the agenda. Now, posting on social media can be lots of fun, but posting recklessly can end you up in trouble. That's because of the digital footprint that you leave as you walk the social media streets, so to speak. Simply put, the internet does not forget, as some have often said. This couldn't be more relevant than to Miss South Africa aspirant Bianca Scumbi. Soon after entering the coveted national contest, social media activists dug up old posts that exposed her insights or lack thereof into issues like racism and body shaming. She has since exited the competition. This morning we discuss how social media can enhance or destroy an individual as a personal brand. To discuss this, we're joined via Skype by Managing Director at Reputation First Group, Tsepo Matseba. Tsepo, very good morning. Thank you so much for making the time to talk to us this morning.
Good morning, Desiree. Thank you so much for the opportunity. It's good to be here.
How important is it for everyone who's active on social media to view themselves as a brand?
Well, it's just beyond. It goes beyond just social media. It's about how you conduct yourself in public and every public sphere. So, for example, people often think that what they say on Facebook and Twitter maybe need to be controlled, but actually there's a bigger risk on WhatsApp, where you have conversations in groups and different people, sometimes having conversations with people that you trust and you think is confidential. And the principle is always to say things that you would say to your mother. If there's anything that you wouldn't say to your mother, it shouldn't be on any social media platform, WhatsApp included. And then the important thing is consistency. You don't have to actually, as a citizen or as a business or as a person, you don't have to always be on social media. So unless you have a plan and an idea and a proposition to sell on social media, you shouldn't necessarily be. It is not a popularity contest. Now, when it comes to the issue of Bianca, it is said because she was young. And there, the question is about, it brings the question about the parents and the extent to which we allow our children to spend time on these expensive devices without any guidance, without any monitoring. Because had the senior person been involved in monitoring and monitoring the screen time in particular and guiding, this wouldn't have happened. A couple of years ago, when I took my son to preschool, there was a young boy who said to me, "Julius, me pa khanyo duot skit." And at that time, I was wearing a Bafana jersey. And so the young guy thought I was Julius Malema. And that speaks to the kind of conversations that take place in our households, and the extent to which that conversation can easily ruin one's reputation, ruins one's clients, because it's not just about models and celebrities and government officials and business people, but it's also about people who lead community organizations. What you say on social media matters, and you're quite right that it's a digital footprint. I would even say what you say on social media is almost like a fingerprint at Home Affairs when you create your ID book.
There's also the aspect of social media that it can be a deciding factor as to whether you secure a job and opportunities or not. Let's break this one down.
Yeah, so before when I was in financial services as head of marketing at different brands, whenever I recruited a marketing manager or a communication specialist, I went first to social media. I start at Google and I search the name and I look at different things at Google. I look at the images, so I'll say Google image, Google news, and then I'll just look at Google in general. And the kind of stuff that you may pick up, that we see when we go on social media, determine whether you're going to get the conversation or not. So, in fact, we're not too worried about your driving license offense when you had a reckless and negligent driving, or maybe at some point you went to a party and you had a little bit too much to drink. That's not a key determining factor. We're still looking for talent. We're still looking for skills. But before the conversation takes place, we do some background checks about the extent to which this person can contribute positively towards our reputation or negatively towards our reputation. And very often, the kind of stuff that you say, your last post, your next interview, or your next job, or your next contract is actually as good as your last post or last comment or the last like on Twitter because sometimes we even actually think that when you press the like button on Facebook, it's just a like, it's nothing else. The other day I clicked something that Mr. Steenhuisen had posted, and someone said, well, you are agreeing with the opinion of Steenhuisen on this issue. And so it created a reminder, even for myself, when I work with the staff every single day. It was a good reminder not to like everything that you see on social media, that you read. In fact, sometimes you might like by mistake. When you're trying to hit retweet or read, and then you like it by mistake, the brands that you work with may not necessarily want to be associated with the work. And the important thing is to stay, if you want to use social media for brand positioning, is to refrain from a few sensitive topics: religion, politics,
Yes,
sexism, racism, and those type of discussions, because that invariably in a discussion, unintended or intentional, you may end up like Penny Sparrow. You may end up like the young lady who traveled from the UK to, I think it was the UK to Cape Town. By the time she landed, she had been fired because she had a glass of wine.
Yeah.
And even at the senior political level, if you look at senior people like DA Federal Chairperson Helen Zille and her remarks on Twitter, the impact of what you say online has adverse effects for many, many people, and not just yourself.
I want to disagree with you a bit, Tsepo, on two things. One, about liking certain posts, because sometimes there's that disclaimer that people can put on their profile to say retweets or likes do not necessarily mean I agree or disagree with this person. It means they've highlighted something that I think is worth a conversation. That's the first one. Does that disclaimer not carry any weight? The second one is these platforms have been put up to allow for conversation. So we can't be too circumspect about which kind of conversations we participate in. But the problem is when you reveal your authentic self, which might not be palatable to other people.
No. So the disclaimer that you put that says the tweets are not my own, or they're my
I don't
personal
necessarily
views,
disagree with them or disagree or agree with them.
That disclaimer is not going to help you in the legal world. It's also not going to help your reputation recover when people start posting the things that you said 7 years ago. So it may be your personal account. It may be that you put a disclaimer, but that disclaimer is not going to help you because you are actually speaking. The fact that you don't say that you work for company X on that tweet and that you're not using your image and sometimes not even using your real name doesn't mean that we can't trace who the person is. There are many parody accounts that people use to try and hide who they are so that they have some kind of inverted commas independence to say what they want to say, when they want to say it, to whom they want to say. And there are means and ways to track people down. The thing is not to discourage dialogue. So I embrace media freedom and freedom of speech, but all those rights come with limitations. Yeah. I cannot spread fake news and just share and like things that I have not verified, because when I retweet something that says South Africa has actually found a vaccine, let's say hypothetically, for COVID-19, without reading the content and what the person is saying, I could actually be retweeting nudity. Because you haven't even read. And that's the sad part, is that there are so many groups on WhatsApp that people share information and they forward information without even bothering to verify. And that we know, it could actually easily land you in jail under the current lockdown conditions in South Africa. So, or you could actually pay a fine. So there is a principle that, of course, we encourage dialogue. Of course, there's freedom of speech, but as an individual, you have a discretion to like or not like what you read, and you've got to read what you click on before. In fact, there's also even cybersecurity issues, especially when you are using a business device to click on a tweet or like a tweet, because you could click on a specific tweet and then open up a virus that impacts the entire network of an organization. So there are many implications about social media usage, and that's why organizations often put up a social media policy or social media guidelines, which tells employees and partners in the organization about what are the limitations, what are the things that you can do, that you're allowed to do on our platform, and what is it that you're not allowed to do. Because every single day there is that tip off that you get from someone, that breaking news story, and if you don't verify the facts, even in the world of the media, you are putting and placing lives at risk, and you could be placing the brand of your employer at risk. And so my belief is that there's a responsibility, I think, particularly on the part of parents, if you look at the Bianca matter, but also there's a responsibility for us as leaders and business leaders and leaders in government to exercise caution. Yes, engage. Yes, like. Yes, retweet. Yes, participate. But at least have a position that you stand for something. So the era of generalists on social media does not work. They pose a huge risk to you as an individual and everybody around you. Now imagine what happens to the people around Bianca and the business opportunities around those people. So imagine you are her father and you are running a business, and it occurs that it seems like you are endorsed what could be sexism, what could have been racism when your child was only 14. How do you explain that in the boardroom? You can't just say my child was negligent. Then he starts talking to, as a parent, are you negligent? So there are many, many implications.
What do we then say to the coming generation about the do's and don'ts, especially for those who are job seekers?
So for me, as a job seeker, if I can give a few practical, tangible outputs, go and create a professional profile on LinkedIn. And in doing so, search different LinkedIn profiles and observe how other people who are doing well are doing it and why do they do it. And once you are there, make a decision about what kind of content are you going to post. So if you're in human resources, by now you should be talking about and engaging on jobs of the future, working from home, and those type of discussions, because that enables you to position yourself distinctively and to attract key employers. But I wouldn't encourage any job seeker to go on Twitter and engage in things such as nudity. I see many young people who feel the need and the urge to share the artistry of what they look like. But the sad part is that footprint is going to be there forever and ever. And some people actually screen grab conversations today so that they can actually use them against you at a later stage in life. So I would actually say go on a social media platform for a purpose. Unless you have a purpose, and read up on the subject, actually, as much as possible, the subject of cybersecurity, the subject of responsible usage of social media, and learn from others, because there are so many examples globally. I mean, Donald Trump is a case in point, just about how not to engage in social media. But he does it deliberately, but sometimes I think that he just doesn't know the implications of what he's posting. He's not a dumb person. He's not a stupid person. But he deliberately does some things that have global impact, that have an impact on the economy of his country and the people of his country. So for a young person, or even senior people, I would say try and study the subject and share information that's useful. I'm an optimist, so I try and engage in conversation that is optimistic, conversation that will help someone, that will assist someone, and that will change someone's life, and not just bombarding.
Okay, Tsepo, we need to wrap up our conversation. We need to wrap up our conversation, but I want to ask you just one last question. When the deed has been done, how does one recover from a ruined personal, reputational brand?
Well, if you have money, you hire a reputation specialist like myself, or a PR agency to assist you. If you don't have money, you've got to at least go and speak to someone who can assist you to frame a message that you can post and share, which just says, here are the facts about what happened, and sometimes it's easier to acknowledge what has happened and apologize and move on to the next best thing.
Thank you so much for talking to us this morning. Tsepo Matseba is from Reputation First Group and talking to us there about the dangers of posting on social media things that could come back and bite.